refuse to watch.
All right, we are live.
If we could, I'd like to call the Ways and Means meeting to order. At first, I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes of May 21st from one of the committee members.
Move it. Move second.
Okay, any concerns? All in favor? All right, great. Before we get in, we do have no appointments tonight, but before we get into the agenda, I'd like to ask Dave Botar to come up, and he wants to present to us on the municipal infrastructure program, all related to broadband and related to the broadband grants. And yes, that would be fine.
Decent name.
Gotta use your outside voice
I
here.
will. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. I've presented to the Cayuga County full legislative board several times on broadband. And this will be sort of a quick update and focus on big funding opportunity that we, the Central New York Regional Planning Board, are pursuing on behalf of our member counties, particularly Cayuga, Portland, and Oswego counties. So just a quick recap, you may recall, we had a study done several years ago by ECC Technologies. Firehoffer from ECC is here with me today. He's been a consultant, his firm to the Regional Planning Board on all of the broadband work we've done over the past 5 years. Any event, we used their firm to do a study which inventory where we have broadband service in the region, and more importantly, where we do not have service. And you may recall, some of you may recall me telling you back in 2021 and again in 2022 that we anticipated that there was going to be a significant amount of federal money coming down the pipe to help build out broadband service, particularly in rural areas across the nation, upstate New York, and here in central New York. That information was correct. There is a significant amount of money coming down from the feds to the state of New York. And the state of New York is making that money available initially to public entities. So the Regional Planning Board, the county could be an applicant, or the city could be an applicant. There's a big pot of money that the state made available from the feds earlier this year. They have about $275 million available to distribute to public applicants. And we made a decision at the Regional Planning Board level to apply for some of this money. And the memorandum that ended up handed out to you has some bullet point highlights of sort of where we're at on that effort right now. And this gets very, very real very quickly, or will get very real very quickly with the state. And that's why I'm presenting here this afternoon. I've discussed this opportunity in detail with my full board, the Regional Planning Board, certainly with Mr. Lynch, the lead chair, and we have to collectively make some decisions over the next few months if we're going to have an opportunity to capitalize on the federal funds. So if you go to the back of the memo, you'll see a map. And this map is the proposed route of what the Regional Planning Board is proposing to build a 335-mile fiber optic network in central New York. And we just do it geographically, starting in the south in Portland, in the city of Portland, then coming obviously west, a major spine coming all the way up through Cayuga County, and then in arc across Oswego County and back into Syracuse. The route that is shown here was picked very intentionally. It was based on the work that ECC did in identifying where there are unserved addresses, homes that don't have fiber optic service out on the telephone poles owned by their homes. So we know where every one of those addresses is in the region, certainly here in Cayuga County. We also have information that ECC collected that's called community anchor institutions. So your hospitals, your schools, your fire departments, your 911 emergency service, your libraries, all of those facilities were located on our maps, and we tried to do two things. Pick a route that went by as many unserved addresses as possible, but also came close to anchor institutions in your county. This is a real attempt by us to propose to the state a fiber optic network in Central New York, the 335 miles. So what we outline in the memo, and again, this memo was presented to my board last week. It's 335 miles. It will cost $29.5 million to build. These are numbers based on the technical analysis that ECC has done in our behalf, and it reflects a network cost per mile, reflects a network that they're actually building right now in Erie County called ErieNet. So these are real numbers, current numbers, cost to build out broadband service. So that's what we applied to the state. We asked for $29.5 million grant from the state to build out a 335-mile network, most of which, a good share of it, almost 50%, would be located here in Cayuga County. This was the longest of the long shots of applications my office has ever submitted. It's a big project, would be very big for us. Lo and behold, the state came back and said, "You made the first cut." So they made a conditional funding reservation, which simply means our application made the first cut and is under further review as we speak. They came back and asked us about 10 key questions. 8 of them were technical broadband questions that Mark and his team answered. There were 2 questions related to finance. So this grant, and this is really relevant to you as county legislator, $29.5 million grant to the Regional Planning Board. It's a 100% reimbursement grant. So all the costs that we incur to build the network would be reimbursed 100% by the state of New York. So what they call it, Connect All of this. But here's the catch, and there's always a catch, right? The state is operating this like they operate most of their capital grants. They will reimburse us after we incur costs. So as the system is built, as the network is built out, we submit a claim, they reimburse us. We all know the claims process with the state, right? It takes a while. This program, we're estimating 3 to 6 months for us to be reimbursed after we submit a claim. So the state said to us, "We like your proposal, we're seriously considering it, but you, Regional Planning Board, have to prove to us you have the interim financing to cover some of the cost of the build out as you go along." So we're like, well, we're the Regional Planning Board. On a good day, I might have $100,000 sitting in my bank. We're a regional planning organization. We don't have this kind of funding, this kind of financing. So big opportunity. I don't want to pass up on this opportunity because it's $29.5 million grant. A lot of it will come into Cayuga County to build out this network. The question was, well, how do I figure out a solution to the interim financing? Thought was and is approach our member counties, particularly the 3 counties that are going to benefit mostly from this, and ask you to lend money to the Regional Planning Board that we would use to build out the network, and then we would get reimbursed from the state, and then we would reimburse each of the counties with interest that's built into our financial. So in the memo, you see what we took the network and allocated the cost proportionate to the number of miles that are being built out in each county. That's on page 2 of the memo. Cayuga County has a little over 46% of the network, so I took the cost and allocated, let me stop, skip over a key point. Working with ECC, we decided we need to have $15 million, kind of a key point, sitting in the bank in order to be able to cash flow this project. So the $15 million, that's the ask to our 3-member counties in this case. We allocate the 15 million, basically proportionate to the number of miles that are being built in each county. And this is addressed in the number. So a little over 46% of that $15 million is allocated to Cayuga County. So that gets to a little over $7 million. So the request to Cayuga County is for a loan of $7 million that would be 100% reimbursed by the state with interest as we build out the network. And then Portland County was a little over 20%, so that's $3 million, and Oswego County 33%, so a little, almost $5 million. So we know what the network will cost, 29.5. We think we need to have 15 million in the bank to convince the state we can cash flow the project. They don't want us to start building it and then having to abandon the project midway through. So 15 million works quite well in the cash flow schedule that ECC put together. So that is the funding request. We've made this request. Last week, Mark and I spoke before the Portland County, there's the Legislative Planning Committee. We'll be speaking shortly to the Oswego County, I believe it is their Ways and Means, but what I would say is we've had productive conversations with Cayuga, Portland, and Oswego counties. There's a lot of details that would have to be worked out. The most important one is we have to get the grant award, the grant agreement from the state. Because while the state says it's a 100% reimbursement grant program, I want to see it in the formal contract that they would award to the regional planning. So that would be step one. Step two, and I've been discussing this with Steve. Obviously we would have to have a legal agreement with the county, between the county and the regional planning board. That would obviously tie us together with a state grant and outline, how county would reimburse for the loan they made to the regional planning board. That all is to come. Problem we're having with the state right now is that we're in a catch-22. They're like, we like your proposal. They're basically saying we want to fund it, but you have to show us more evidence that your counties are willing to help finance it. What they said they would accept as the next step is a memorandum of understanding between the regional planning board and the county. Basically, it would be pretty much along the lines of this memo. But they want to know, we laid all this out in the application, but those are just the regional planning board's words to the state. You've had several meetings with us by phone, and I've indicated we are talking with our member counties, but now they want to see something in writing. From my perspective, MOUs are, it's an expression on the county's part. It's not a legal obligation on the county's part or the regional planning board's part. But that's what the state is saying is if we can get MOUs from our 3 counties that are consistent with what I've outlined this afternoon, consistent with this memo, then they will advance our application to what I think would be the formal funding award stage and formal grant agreement. This is on a real fast track with the state, which I'm never comfortable with, but this project has to be built by December of 2026. So the federal money they're getting is the US Treasury Capital Fund. Monies from that fund can be used for infrastructure. Primarily for broadband infrastructure, but the rules from the feds to the state is. You gotta spend it by December of 2026. So that's where I keep circling back. This is all happening very, very quickly. We know what the project would be. ECC has a lot of experience doing these kinds of projects. And let me just allude to one more key point, then I'll stop and take questions. There are two models that have been up and running in New York State for a number of years that are very similar to what we're proposing here. One is called the Southern Tier Network in the Corning area. So that is a nonprofit corporation that was set up by the Regional Planning Board, Southern Tier Central. They built out a 600-mile broadband network in the Corning area. They're applying, we're competing with them right now. They want to build out another 700 miles. So that's a regional network sponsored by a regional planning board, now owned and managed by a nonprofit corporation. That's exactly the model we would follow. And then there's the Development Authority of the North Country, which is a public authority operating out of Watertown, serving the whole Adirondack region. They've built out a 2,200 mile. So it's called an open access middle mile network. That's the concept. ECC was the technical consultant for both of those networks. And ECC is the party that we've been using on this project. So this isn't just our idea. There's a lot of money the state has available, and we have two regional open access broadband networks that have been in operation for at least 10 years. They operate profitably, and they bring great service to their counties. This is a way, I'll just finish up here. We build this middle mile network through Cayuga County. ECC has already been having conversations with internet service providers that would tap into this backbone network going through Cayuga County. And they will bring the last mile service to all of the unserved addresses that exist in Cayuga County. So this would be a big, big win for the region and a big, big win.
Okay.
That's a couple questions there. You might already answered this. $8 million reported in Oswego. What did they get? Pay the funds on that funds?
Same question came up last week before. We have also approached a bank, Live Oak Bank. It happens to be based in North Carolina, where ECC has a major presence. This bank happens to have a little niche in the broadband business nationally. And they have indicated an interest in providing up to $5 million of our interim financing needs. So that would be a potential fallback. But the way I'm thinking about it today is all three counties have, all three counties do not come in, and we would have to either abandon the project, come back to you and say, we would have to go back to you, back to the state, and say, well, we got Portland and Cayuga, but Oswego does not want to be in. Can we reduce our grant amount? We can adjust the project that way. I don't know what the state against would be. But absolutely, before any county would put money into our project, we have to know what we're going for. So there would be that opportunity to circle back, revisit that question.
So other than interest, would cost us each $1 million. Did you say at the bottom, I said plus $1 million for each working network?
That's Madison and Onondaga.
So there's a process.
You're
So
seven.
basically,
It's costing you $7 million.
but that $7 million is gonna be reimbursed.
Correct.
So the interest It's only taking really taxpayers, you know.
The grant program allows us to include interest costs in the project cost. So you get all of your money back plus interest. And so it doesn't cost the taxpayers. Well,
Obviously, I assume our share is higher because our gaps are higher. We have more of this need than these other.
you have,
counties.
so the breakout of the number of miles, the 335, almost 50% of those miles that we would build are being paid.
Okay, and initially, we talked about, and I'm no expert in this, being funding.
Yep.
And that we would have to, we'd have to own the network, and we didn't want to own the network, and we'd have to find an internet service provider that we would have to incentivize, and if this went forward, this is the project, we wouldn't have to be seeking those kind of awards ourselves, is that true?
That's correct.
So this would be in place of all the stuff we were thinking we might have to do.
Right.
Port an internet service provider and see if they do business, or 3 of them, and this would be the replacement for this and provide broadband in areas in this county that currently don't have it. And you, ECC, would find the internet service providers to hook in.
Yep, correct.
Sixties.
So wait a minute, I mean, there are, you know, this might be a question, there are risks. Right, to you, and certainly to the regional planning board, but if you lend the money, you're taking risks. There's the construction risk, we gotta build it. Okay, now, we're gonna have a technical consultant. This is well-established track record. So we gotta get it built. So, you know, what the state is saying, we'll reimburse you if you build it. So, okay, someone can make the argument, well, regional planning board, if you don't build it, you don't get the state. That's true. So there's quote construction risk. The other part of this, the state threw us a curve, is they want us to show $15 million of interim finance. We will get reimbursed 100% from the state. They want us to keep in our bank account 15 million of interim financing we get. They want us to, after all the money's changed hands, everything's gone back and forth, keep $5 million in the bank for a period of up to 5 years to cover the initial operating costs of the system. So the idea we came up with is, and this gets a little bit complicated, so bear with me. So the $15 million we're asking Cayuga County to put in $7 million. We get money back. The 15 million, the state wants us to leave 5 million in the banks. We're gonna have $10 million to distribute to the 3 counties initially. Project is built. So 10 million bucks, 46% of that. Cayuga County of its 7 million, we get back 4.6 million when the project is complete by December of 2026. And then the balance of the funds. Trying to get that there, the 0.3 million, we would pay back to you over 5 years as we generate revenue operating the system. So there's construction risk and there's operating risk. And we think we have enough information from other projects and from ECC to be able to address those risks. We got to get it built. And then we gotta have the customers. Our customers would be the internet service providers, not the residents. So companies like Point Broadband, Empire Access, who else might have?
Those are the two primary ones.
Well, maybe with a couple of days there.
Well, they pay us. They enter an agreement to tap into that network. And they pay us a monthly.
Is it a plan?
No, it's a flat monthly fee, then it's up to them to get the subscribers. So the risk on the customer side, we're talking about 2 or 3 customers, plus internet service providers. And then any municipal entities, public entities that would want to tap into this.
How long is the project?
Well, I would expect a funding award in July, August, September. We would have to hit the ground running and literally have it built by December 26th. And we would be, as we're building it, internet service companies, the Clarity Connect, and the Empire Access, will be talking so that they can tap into it and be. Yeah,
I just have one question. I got blockbuster.
go in the club.
All right, so you build it, ECC finds people to monitor the internet. I get all that. Who's doing the long-term operation management?
Yeah, so it really, I addressed it. We are looking very closely at the model in Southern Tier. So the Southern Tier Central Regional Planning Board. They were approached by Corning Corporation, and this goes back at least 10 years. Corning Corporation was having trouble attracting employees, rural area, they didn't have good broadband service. Southern Tier Central Regional Planning Board tried to get a federal grant, it failed. So Corning said, all right, we'll provide it. Corning put up 10 million bucks. Southern Tier Central Regional Planning established a nonprofit corporation called Southern Tier Network that owns that regional network in this part of the state. They operate that 600-mile network profitably with a staff of 6 or 7 people. They contract out to third-party companies that have the technical capacity to manage, take care of all the electronics that are part of the fiber optic network. So it's, we have access to all of that information. They have a 600-mile network and they're applying for money out of the same program to add another 700 miles. So Regional Planning Board would establish a nonprofit corporation that would have a representative from each of our counties on the nonprofit board of directors. And ultimately, once the project is completed, we would transfer ownership of the network to the network.
Yeah. It appears Onondaga County has about 50 miles in this. Portland County for 50 miles, we put in 3 million. But you're asking for 1 million for Onondaga County. Is that because they really don't need it, or?
They don't need it. Both
So
Onondaga County, let me talk. Onondaga and Madison County. So Onondaga County went a different route last year. They issued an RFP and entered into a contract with Verizon to build out fiber in unserved areas in Onondaga County, and ECC is managing that project. Counties that have. So by the end of this year, all the unserved areas in Onondaga County will be served. When we were talking to Onondaga County last year, the county executive didn't want to wait to see if this pool of money we were talking about would ever surface. He went ahead with ARPA money, committed 15 million bucks, and they're building it out. Madison County goes back much further in time, about 5 years. They got a USDA reconnect grant, about a $10 million reconnect grant, and they're in the process of building their own network that they will own in Madison County. The reason why in this memo I reference, we will ask Onondaga County, Madison County, it's the pitch to them would be, if you throw in $1 million bucks, you're helping us build a stronger network in Central New York. That's good for all of Central New York. Why don't you partner and help us a little bit and add a little bit more money to them? They may say no. But
So what's the purpose of having the fiber down through Cayuga County?
Mark can explain that better than I.
Yeah, that's an interconnection point that a lot of internet service providers are gonna want to get into the city of Syracuse, so that gives opportunities to get to other sections of the region, obviously, the county itself on back.
So there's a major hub in downtown Syracuse.
But it does benefit them.
No, it doesn't benefit Onondaga County in any measurable way. It allows that group that's coming across from Syracuse, Western Onondaga County. It really activates the system here in Cayuga County.
It could potentially. And if someone has to pay, you know,
It's a margin benefit.
they can make it.
Any other questions? Mark?
I know, Dave, I've been through a couple of agreements before. And I know there's a company, I can't tell you who did it. Somebody came in and put broadband service down through, down in the south end of this county. There's green boxes along the sides of the roads. And, they came in, they put them in. They haven't been back even looking. They're tipped over, they're destroyed, there's wires hanging out of them. Not all of them, but you can find them, it doesn't take long. You drive down the road and find them. So I guess my question is that part of this program? Is that program, I know we paid for it somehow or another, that was paid for and it's. I guess they said, well, we got paid, see you later. I mean, I'm a little leery of that. I mean, I don't wanna see this happen again. To our, and not me,
George,
to our-
for me, I don't think anybody. Mark can probably speak to this a little bit more than me, but. So you go back a little bit in time, there was another program, the new New York program, $500 million. And the states. Connect All Office, the office we're working with today. Will tell you, they did not have good systems in place to be sure that what they were funding was in fact built out and complete. So that was the old regime. This is the new regime. One of the big differences, though, is this is money in the build out that we would, regional planning board, and its member county. So the state very intentionally set up this pool of money because they heard that. They were aware of it. And part of their response has been, okay, if we didn't do a good job in monitoring construction, we're gonna give you, public entities, you, the regional planning board, you, the counties, we're gonna give you a chance. We're gonna give the money to you. You will contract to have this network. And so the onus will be on you at the local level to make sure that what we're funding does in fact get built and completed. So that was, I would say that was, them being responsive, saying, okay, we didn't do such a good job the first time around. Maybe if we put some of this money into local hands, we'll have a better outcome.
But it's still taxpayer.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's federal money.
It's
But
still
yes,
taxpayer money.
absolutely.
It's yours, it's mine. And I'm sorry, but I don't wanna pay for something that didn't work well the first time, and I'm a little leery the second.
Yeah, well, I certainly want, if the regional planning board working with ECC, we would issue a request for proposals. We would select one or more companies to build the network. That information we would share with you, since you're putting money in to help finance this. We select a company, and, they will be paid as they build. They won't be advanced a penny. They will have to build a section of it. They submit a claim, ECC would have to certify that what they built is complete, it actually works. The state would require that certification from ECC in this case, before they would give us any money. So, I think this is set up properly to ensure that taxpayers' money would in fact result in a project that is completed.
One other question, Dave, I don't know if this is for you or for someone else, but would the counties be able to ban for this one?
Yes, we talked to fiscal advisors about this whole project. About being totally doable.
So you do a ban and not a bond?
He would do recurring bans.
That is not my, I chase grants. With the ends.
It's just a different thing. It's a bond anticipation note with a short term of like a year. They basically, you make a payment with some interest and then they give you another one for another year. It's more of a shorter term borrowing.
Then a bond.
Yes,
Yes.
There's also revenue anticipation. This might fall into here.
Yeah, how each county, yeah, that's, yeah, we would get the grant. You know, all of that would be in place. And each county would obviously, Oswego County may dip into fund reserves. They would do a ban, but everybody's looking at it. Financial situation. One other key point, that DCC and Mark's boss, Bill Starks, keep reminding me is if we build out this fiber optic network through their counties, your anchor institutions, so Cayuga County, your schools, your libraries, things of that nature, can tap into this direct, not through an internet service provider. To tap into it directly, that's my loose language, not the technician. But in doing that, public entities would save a significant amount of money in their internet service funds. And ECC just went through this, didn't you share that?
Yeah, we just went through this with, this next year at the network we're building in Erie County, New York. We've been on a project there through the University of Buffalo that they put out, and we came in well below all the other bidders, at least 50%, if not more, total cost. Some of the other ones were 75% above the rate that we charge. For, open access services, the same type of network we're talking about here.
So if you put all of these public entities together, I don't know what Cayuga County's internet cost is, but there's a 50% savings, even if it was only 25%. We're talking, collectively, a significant amount of money you would save on an annual basis.
One more thing.
Well, I just want to say thank you for coming out today. I actually represent the district and work that's covered in today. So I'm looking forward to learning more about this. So I look forward to the discussion.
Thanks, appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, okay, we'll go on with our agenda right now. I'm gonna say a couple of things before we get into the reports. I just wanted to advise the Ways and Means Committee and other legislators that I have been having discussions about an austerity spending resolution. I've talked with the chairman, I've talked with Lynn. I have no formal resolution to bring forward at this point. It certainly would be a decision of the legislature. But we're talking about at minimum requiring until the end of this year, any purchases over $20,000 from any of the departments to come forward as resolutions for review from the legislative committee. It would allow us to look at what's currently being spent in these budgets that have been passed. What is being asked to be encumbered into next year's budget, because my understanding, and Lynn can expand on this, there's a number of times where things are budgeted for, they don't get done, and the money is encumbered and moved into next year. We have the ability to relook at that to see if we want to move forward. I have had discussions with some members of the committee, proposed perhaps a hiring freeze, which I think is extremely difficult to pull off. Certainly, I wouldn't have wanted been a department head being told, based on what positions come forward, that they just can't be filled. If there is a need to reduce staffing, I think the department should have a say in that. A lot of this is, unless we want to raise taxes next year, we're certainly going to be looking at a tax raise into 25. We will continue to spend down our fund balance. We keep talking about our concerns, but we really have been taking no action. And this means looking at positions, looking at new initiatives. I have asked Diane when she comes up for her report, she listed there's around 25 or so positions that are currently vacant. I asked her to give a list to us, what those positions are, how long they've not been filled. So we need to look at all, I think, at all of the agendas, what's being asked for, how long have they been vacant? How do we onboard positions for staff in the county office building while it's currently closed? I did ask Diane that, and she said they've been finding locations to bring new hires in, because obviously it's not very convenient to not have a place where you work being open for business. I'm sick of talking about our structural deficit, but we have one. We have mandated costs that are over budget, and I think you're going to be bringing more information to us in July. And we have concerns, and I don't know if there's any updated information that our sales tax may not be coming in as budgeted. All of those will put a huge strain on us. And now you'll see, we'll be talking soon about the need to get potentially another up to $500,000 available to make plans for testing of the county office building, temporary space, reopening, all of that will be coming forward. Not to mention, I don't even know about what we're going to do about the possibility of building a new building at this point in time and putting money away for debt service. But I think if the directive is going to be made for 2025, and I'm not sure it won't, that we need to reduce the 25 budget. The department heads are given that directive. I think we need to start, and they need to start preparing for that now before it's too late. So again, you know, I don't know about the austerity spending resolution. I certainly am not a fan of a hiring freeze. But if you could just expand, Lynn, about the reason for the purchases, and I did go back and look in 2007. Dear God, there was a austerity spending resolution, and that anything over $1,000 had to come forth to the committee, which would be 20 is yeah, $1,000. That would be just incredible. But what is it that you talked to us about?
Well, the way our purchases are kind of done at the county is that if the department has money in their budget and they're just purchasing an item, as long as they're following the county purchasing policy, which they would work with the manager, that they can put in a requisition and they can just order, you know, whatever it was. It could be something to replace. There'll be a new initiative. It could be an expansion of something. And just because the funds were included in the 24 budget passed by a different legislature doesn't mean that we maybe want to continue with those plans, especially since we have problems in the county office building that were totally unexpected. You know, staff aren't able to work together, so a lot of people's plans might be kind of up in the air if you're in the county office building. And I think that people probably don't realize the hundreds of thousands of dollars that are bought all the time, and there's no resolution. You sign or you save resolutions when there's a contract, because we're entering into a contract and the chairperson needs permission to be able to sign that agreement. So that's really why we have the contract. So
I think you made the point that aside from contracts, the only other thing that comes before the legislature are purchase of cars, right? For some reasons.
yeah,
Yeah.
I really don't know why. I think it's in our vehicle policy maybe that we say that it has to have a resolution, and there is no, it doesn't say that in the purchasing policy. So, you know, I've worked here long enough that I do remember when it was $1,000, it was awful. I mean, no one would ever suggest trying to micromanage things like that, but majority of this legislature probably not approve that budget. And the other thing I argue a little bit with Elaine about is she thinks I know everything that people said they were gonna buy when they presented their budget, but that's not really how it works. If you're the jail and there's a jail construction line and it has $350,000 in it, we may have discussed in the budget a couple of the larger items. We certainly don't go into every little detail. All the buildings have a lot of, expenditures they have to do. The parks has a lot. They have buildings to run, the jail runs. So there's a lot of things. And sometimes they have to change their plans during the year because something breaks. And then they don't end up doing the other thing that they did. So I mean, it just kind of is always kind of a fluid thing, but it really does not involve the legislature in any level, unless we're doing a contract. And in my opinion, there's a little bit of a gray area with things because some vendors will do things with a purchase order, because a purchase order is a binding agreement of the county that we will pay for these goods and services. They don't ask for a formal signed contract that the chair would have to sign, even if it's $2,000, they have to bring it here if we're gonna be signing a document. So it can get a little confusing to the departments, the vendors, all of us. I mean, I don't think that things happen, and especially if you're not used to doing these things. We have to do them, they can get very confusing, as a department. But I think the same thing goes with, personnel. I mean, we've never had a budget that had more than $3 million in the fund balance. This budget had $7 million. So I think, people just saying, and whereas the funds are in my 2024 budget, it's nice if you write that in the resolution. I guess it doesn't mean as a legislative body, you have to just say yes to everything. Because it is gonna be a lot harder if the sales tax doesn't pick up and we don't really have new information. Things have kind of been chaotic in the last couple of weeks, so we really have not updated, any budget information the last couple of weeks. We look at the same deficit. We have contractual salary increases, health insurance certainly is gonna go up. Inflation has been a huge pressure. We keep hearing every project we talk about, the price tag is, and there are things that need to be done, not just optional, building expenditures. So I think we're just trying to say that, this is the budget you've been handed and you're gonna have to kind of maybe to make some more difficult decisions. And I think it's kind of good for department heads to start hearing that a little bit. That I think we've all had some pretty easy years financially ever since COVID kind of came in. All this ARPA money, which was great, sales tax was way over budget, which was great. I mean, there's not things to complain about. But I think you're gonna be seeing the state's not gonna have as much money moving forward. I mean, everybody has the pressure on exactly what Dave Bokar said right now, to enter into contract before the end of this year. So there still will be some spend out in the 25 and 26 of state monies and federal monies, but I think there's gonna be a lot of pressures coming, and so we just need to kind of be more thoughtful, I think, and maybe prioritizing projects we wanna do, within departments, within the county, and just coordinating maybe a little bit more than just kind of each committee addressing it, and then everything going through, I guess.
And in your words, if this was to come forward, it would sort of slow the process down a little. Certainly, we wouldn't be voting no for everything. I mean, you just had an understanding
Right.
of what's being spent and a second chance to relook at it.
And I think, like I said, there's a lot of new members on the board, they wouldn't even know what was approved in the budget. There's no detail in the budget presentation like that, it just says construction. Different accounts, I have to go to my own notes to be like, what did we budget? I can't remember everything either, what people had asked for at the time.
And this budget included a lot of things that needed to get done.
It did include
It's
some
just-
capital investments, but we really didn't raise the taxes or the revenues to go with it. And I did up the sales tax, and the sales tax went up 9% budget to budget. And we're worried now that we're not gonna hit it, so we're not, I think, gonna be coming in way over. Just kind of bailed us out the last couple of years.
And any comment from the Ways and Means Committee or? Okay.
Thank you. I just want to add on or reiterate, I think Elaine, I think where we are now is, and I look at it this way. I had nothing to do with the budget that was running, and we have a $7 $1 million deficits, it's growing, it could be 10 million before the end of the year, right? Start with these projects, expenditures, over budgets, tax revenue. And I look at this, and to me, this is about, we have to stop waiting for 25, right? We can't continue upon this path, it's unsustainable, but we can't wait for 25's budget. We have to start taking measures now. And I support the austerity. Actually, I'm even the one she can blame me because I'm the one who said, hey, maybe we need a hiring freeze. That's on me. And not that I support a hiring freeze, but I'm looking at ways, even tonight, we have 8 positions being filled. And I just look at our next year's budget and say, if we're going to continue, we need to find ways to do it, maybe different, and maybe identify ways, whether it's among staff or through attrition and finding people that we can still do our job effectively, efficiently, but maybe in a lesser place. And no one wants to lay people off, no one wants to fire, no one wants to cut back on staff. I get that, I don't want to be there, it's a sucky position, a sucky seat to sit, right? But at the end of the day, we have a job to do. And my job, in Cayuga County, and my district, and my constituents, it is important, and making sure that we get back on the financial standing, that we can do these other projects that go as well. But we have to start somewhere, and it's not going to be easy. So I give Elaine a lot of credit for what she has to say, and I would support that. And I guess that's all I have to say before I get thrown out of it.
Okay. Anything else? All right, let's get on with the agenda. More to come, I guess. Jenny, could we start with you and we'll do your 2 resolutions? Okay. Ways and Means 1 is authorizing the settlement of AutoZone and a stipulation of settlement, reducing their assessment by 94,000. Is that?
Yes, it's a relatively small adjustment. There's no refunds. So we'd just be going forward with the reduction in fees. So I would recommend it.
Get a motion for WM1? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, WM2, transfer the tax delinquent property to Canal Trail Ventures, and we spoke about this last month. It's in Leesport,
Did I speak about this one?
Old Erie.
This is Old Erie.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't remember talking about it, but maybe I did.
Yeah.
So this one, we've been working with a developer, that actually approached the county to request that we proceed with a foreclosure, and transfer the property to them. They do have a redevelopment plan, for the property. It's right in the heart of Leesport, which is one of the central arteries into the county. So the real property committee looked at that. We felt it was important that it not just be auctioned off and sold willy-nilly, but that there be a development plan for the property. There is also some environmental contamination, which this developer has paid for the phase 1 and phase 2 testing, and has agreed that they will remediate the issues.
Get a motion for WM2, and then any questions? Anyway. Second. Okay. Any questions for Jenny on this? All in favor? All right, great. Thank you. Do you have anything you want to add to your report to us?
Just that my department is working 100% remotely right now. I just want to thank the city engineering department. They're letting us use their large format scanner to scan in survey maps that are filed to the clerk's office. And to thank the Veteran Services Office, they've been letting me go there, scan 17s, so that my staff can continue to work remotely, share those documents with them.
Thank you. Our treasurer, Dave, do you have anything you want to add to your report to us?
Just a report that we located at the City Hall, the treasurer's office in City Hall. There's kind of continuity there, all the community to the treasurer's office, going up to the city to raise the county. So we've established that, and computer dropped the money and everything is good right now. It's a couple of few days to get going, but right now we're catching up at the right now.
Thank you. Any questions for Dave? Thank you. Grace? Hello. Hi.
So one of the things I just wanted to mention on my report, I did say updated sales tax reports for June. I did not send them out because, after I sent them, I realized we do have 4 payments in June. So I only have the first 2, so I wasn't able to come later. But I can at least tell you that the first 2 payments that we received do still remain flat to those from last year, so. You know, good news is they're not less, but they're not more either, so just, we are still remaining flat. With regards, I just want to kind of also, mention that the finance department is mainly working remote. We do have some office space as well at City Hall. So I want to say thank you to them. They have been, great with their hospitality and getting us up and running and having a place that we can actually start to, do our deposits. Tompkins County Bank has been wonderful. They've, ordered stuff for us, expedited shipments. We got check scanners in so that we can set them up at the city so we can get our deposits going again. Wanted to do a shout out really quick to IT, specifically, Jeremy Pavone and Kim Geiger. They've been working with staff to get them set up a little bit better at home. In finance, we need more than just a laptop screen. It's a lot of computer work. Other departments as well, so we've got to set up so staff has some monitors at home. And wanted to shout out to the health department. They've also been wonderful and letting us go in and out, having all of our shipments there, giving us some room to work as well, to work and run. But one of the biggest struggles right now, I just wanted to kind of mix up, is we still currently don't have the ability to print checks. We're working with our IT and the city's IT. That's a huge issue. Obviously, with vendors and other checks that we have. I did finally get our checks from Tompkins. We can't obviously write out hundreds and hundreds of checks every month, but at least for individuals that we need to get a check out ASAP, we now have that ability that has happened today. So we're working, we're almost 100% operational. I'm hoping by Thursday we're gonna have printers. We want to have the ability to print checks as well. So if you hear from vendors, if you hear from individuals out there, please know that we are working diligently on trying to get that up and running. So,
Thank you.
Big praise.
yes.
So I did have a vendor call me. Can you draft the budget to their paper?
So, you know, we typically don't want to just wear money out of accounts. We don't pay vendors that way. And
That's what I said I couldn't call you, so I just want, that's all.
I mean, typically, we don't do that. We have reached out to some vendors if they're willing to take a credit card. We're even willing to eat the cost if there's generally we don't do credit card payments if there's a fee. But if there is, and we need to get a check, they're even out to that, they're willing to do that as well. I'm hoping, it looks like Thursday, we should be up and running the check, so we will be back to getting checks out Thursday. So we have everything, there's a huge issue with networking in the city. They have their internet and the confidentiality, they have to work with our IT to kind of allow our computers to read and print on printers in the city, so it's not as simple as just plugging in a printer and printing checks, and they have to, hopefully they'll put the signature on them so we don't have to continue to stamp. I have been working with DSS and we've been manually stamping hundreds of checks. So that they can at least get those out. So.
Okay, thank you. Anything else for Grace? Diane? Oh, Diane. Right, it did say, her report talked about 29 vacant positions and these are the list of.
These are the list of positions, the resolutions that went through to authorize filling them, and then the original date when around the date of either if it was a create fill when that happened or the date when the employee resigned.
These like current positions.
Yeah, those are open positions, yes.
What does that represent? How much of it open?
Correct.
And this year you started at 40 something, correct?
Yes.
49 or something, 40. and now it's 29. Any, appreciate this, Diane, and this book. Doesn't include.
So it wouldn't include any resolutions that are going through this month. So it would be through May, what's been submitted to Bell, and then anything up to, the first, orientation in June, when we started. So there are a couple that we have built, but they're not starting till the end of June. Got them as something.
And you told me you're onboarding people wherever you can find space and.
We are, last orientation was done, in the large conference room at employment and training, so they were gracious to give us that space, so that worked out really well. The next couple are gonna be at Soil and Water, so we'll be in their conference room. We had our commission meeting there next week also, so that's worked out well. Our staff is 100% remote, but mental health and public health allowed us to come in and print when we need to, so we're using that space, so we're very thankful to them. The city civil service office is collecting in packages that we're having delivered to the state civil service office, for us, like test exams come in, so we pay those rates, so we're pretty sure of them too, so we have been reaching out.
Great, thank you. Questions for Diane? Okay, last but not least, Amanda McGrady.
I don't really have anything to add, just trying to keep up with the emergency purchases and whatever people need. It is kind of what I'm doing, the majority of my day.
All right, thank you. Okay. If we want to get on to the agendas. Health and services.
Madam Chair, Health and Human Services had 11 resolutions. One of them was pulled, so we discussed 10. I would like to offer a bundle on HH1, HH6, HH7. These are authorizations to fill public health sanitation position due to a resignation, authorizing the Commissioner of Social Services to fill a caseworker vacancy, and authorizing the Commissioner of Social Services to fill a senior caseworker position.
A motion for those is a bundle. We will open it up to discussion. Motion, anyone? Hello? Okay. Second? Okay. Jonathan did ask about filling these caseworker positions, how that would go with the building being closed, but I don't know if Christine's here. With Northwoods.
I'm here.
Northwoods, basically, you have the ability to be remote, probably easier than any other staff. Is that the case?
Yeah, of all of my staff in DSS, the caseworkers are definitely the best set up from the beginning to be working remotely. And they have been.
And one of you, this one would be a new fill, bringing a new caseworker on.
One of them would be a new fill, yes.
Think you have the ability at this point, with, you know, everyone wherever they are, to bring them on and train them and.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that we have our supervisor who is our main trainer, and, you know, we can get people out in the field. You know, some of the training is remote. So, you know, I think that we absolutely would be able to onboard a caseworker even over the next, you know, few months while we're displaced.
Huh? No, we can, if you want to separate them. All right, can I get a motion for those bundles? All right, all in favor? Okay.
HH2 authorizes the chair of the legislature and the public health director to enter into the public health preparedness contract with HR1, working in collaboration with the New York State Department of Health, and accept the funding time period from the 1st of July through 6 of 25.
Move that.
Second.
Thank God I was.
Aye.
Done.
Okay. Any opposed to accepting that grant? All right, go ahead.
HH3, authorizing the chair of the legislature to participate in round 4 of the septic replacement grant and accepting additional funding in the amount of 200,000.
Move it, I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
HH4, amending the social services 2024 budget to accept funds from the administration for community living in the form of a grant to enhance adult protective services, and to which it's as a response to COVID-19.
Move it.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
HH5 is pulled. HH8, authorizing the chair of the Cayuga County Legislature and the Director of Community Services to accept funding from OMH to outreach individuals presenting in the ER with mental health.
I'll move that. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
And then I would like to bundle HH9, HH10, HH11, and HH12. Each of these come from the director of our youth bureau. They are contracts which complete the funding of our ARPA program funding. And they range from an agreement with Central New York Sports Management, an agreement with Seymour Public Library, an agreement with Cayuga Future Farmers of America, and an agreement with the Hideout Gaming Center.
Move it.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Great,
Thank you.
and then
Oh,
you,
What did I?
the authorizing creation of a temporary lead bank for Cayuga County. Health Department.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. This authorizes the creation of a temporary leave bank for a Cayuga County Health Department employee, something that we do very typically. Create leave banks, but they do need to come before the legislature for.
Move it.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, Brian? Government Ops?
Madam Chair, we have 4 resolutions for government ops. GO1 is local operation of the sale of the county property located at Beach Tree Road.
I'm gonna move it, GO1. Second?
Yep.
Yep, all in favor?
GO2 is amending the policy sale and disposition of real property owned by Cayuga County.
I'll move that. All in favor?
Guys, don't be so excited about my resolutions. I have 4. That made it.
Yeah.
GO3 is authorized the county to act with the Department of Information Technology and Transfer for other county municipality, department, agent, and provide management information technology services.
Move it.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Second.
Yeah.
Finally, most exciting one, fixed day, the notice of public hearing on a local law authorizes the sale of property located at Clinton Street Road. It's not exciting, that, but it's the last one, so I get a motion for that.
I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Planning and Public Works then?
Yeah. And their planning public works as a few resolutions. PPW1 was pulled for coming back next month. PPW2 and 3 are authorization Highway Department to fill motor equipment operator medium position. Some of the financial concerns and things, I would almost like to slow down here a little bit and maybe table one of these for next month. That'll give the highway department an opportunity to at least go ahead and hire one person. Continue to advertise or whatever, but also give us another month to consider our financial condition, so. I would entertain a motion from anyone from the committee to table either 2 or 3.
I'll make that motion.
I also,
Which one are we taking? PW2.
2, okay.
Yep, we got motion second, we did both. All in favor?
Okay. DPW 3 would be to fill one of those medium operator positions. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Thank you. DPW 4 and 5 are pretty much standard. So if you want, we can, I'll move it, bundle 4 and 5.
Moves upon.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
DPW 6 is authorizing to utilize the capital H contractor Collier Engineering for the listed projects here at Emerson Parks.
I'll move it for discussion. Doug, is this one of the ones that you were going to attempt to amend so that you could do the bridge?
It
and get
is,
the-
we only got numbers this afternoon. We're not really comfortable with them, so we may actually seek a little bit more information. So yes, we were going to try to amend it, but it was a really large price tag.
Okay,
so
and this was for design of a
it
new
was for
bridge?
design of the bridge we have to replace on the other side of the island. We just got,
Not the,
no, it's
No.
the older construction bridge that comes from the Fleming side where everybody parks for events. Across that way. It's the oldest one that we have. That was the one that was up for.
oh, I thought it was the bridge where you get go on.
From the main parking lot, no,
Yes.
this is the far side.
Oh, okay.
From the Fleming property.
So I guess should this,
So there isn't a change to that, there is not.
it should pass as is?
Yep.
And then at some point, you're gonna have to
Yep.
bite the bullet and
Yep.
bring another resolution
Yep.
to.
But we need to probably get it.
Okay, and this 8,000 was for just
We still need an
an
assessment.
assessment,
Still need
even
an
though you know
assessment.
it's awful, you need the
Yeah.
assessment? Okay. Okay, all right, we have a motion, a second, all in favor? Aye.
And DPW 7 and 8, I'd like to bundle these two.
Make a motion to bundle PW 7 and 8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes,
I don't know if this is not in the plate, but it's not maybe we'll calculate for till then. DD 72. Isn't that a budget position, term position, that the years, it will be the retirement, that position came vacant, both of those positions actually. There was no discussion, that's fine.
and Jonathan had a
It's a
conversation,
budgeted position, yeah,
Yes.
it is.
And it was vacant only till retirement, right?
There's one, two,
One was because of, I mean, there was 2 different reasons.
retirement resolution.
and I don't want to tell, I mean, you ended up asking Brian or did.
Yes, 30 operators right now, it's the budget for 32. These 2 positions, Phil is, we work basically as backup snowplow practice as well. So there are positions that I think we can fill. So, that's your question. Eventually, yes, I think the civil position comes snow season, definitely. I think this represents the backup drivers, it's stated. Yes.
I think though, Mark, the point was, just because it's in a budget and funded, doesn't mean that it's going to be totally affordable next year. If people are asked to cut their budgets by a certain percentage next year, where will the cuts come from? And I think this wasn't, it never fill it. This was,
Just to delay the one another month, so we have a little bit better idea of what things are going on, and plus. I mean, I personally don't know if he had 2 people he wants to hire right now, but you can definitely. Start the process, hire one, and have another one in the pipeline for next month. I mean, it's not like we're cutting the position. It's delaying the fill.
so the.
Madam Chair, Public Safety and Judicial has 8 resolutions, but you want to do each one on. Let's start with JP1. Authorization of bill 1 emergency dispatch commissions. It's the vacancy that is situated out.
I'll move that.
Yeah, second.
On favor?
Aye. JP2. Authorizing the chairperson of legislature to sign agreement overall for migration of GIS data to our flexible system.
I'll move it. Need a second?
Yeah, second.
Anybody on the committee want to know that the cost is $9,800?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Amanda.
JP3 authorizing the chair of the legislature to sign a 1-year contract with Bolster and Capital to maintain the HVAC units in the 9 tower sites. And I'm going to bundle that if I may with JP4, which authorizing the chair of the legislature to approve a 2024 finance revenue program of hard funding plan in the amount of $80,000.
I'll move the bundle JP 3 and 4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. JP5 is a alteration, it's actually going to be, it's an alteration in grade bill, it's defunding one position and moving a step difference, a grade position difference, for the court order these land emissions per se. This is something that was negotiated with that between personnel. It was determined. I want to make a motion that we amend this and we move.
Excuse me, we have, have put on the floor for.
I'll move JP 5. You get a second?
Second.
Okay,
I'm gonna make, I'm gonna have a discussion, but I'd like to amend this resolution to get rid of the. Was resolved in there.
want to abolish
We
the.
want to abolish the conditions, plus that is the.
I'll second abolishing the full position.
So fill the senior grand jury reporter and abolish the grand jury reporter that's going to be unfunded anyway. Is that your motion?
To abolish position 5025. 36, to resolve the said grand jury report 5025 be unfunded. Like the resolve.
And you seconded that?
I did.
I need a first on the amendment.
That's.
I just need a second.
I'll second it. And then we have to vote on it as amended.
Vote the amendment first.
Okay, can we get a vote on the amendment to abolish the court reporter. All in favor? Now can we vote on the resolution as amended? All in favor?
Let's move on to JP6. JP6 authorized sheriff fill one vacant Cayuga County Corrections Facility Administrator position in custody eviction of the Cayuga County Sheriff's Office, change the title of second.
What do you use your money for? You think?
Corrections Facility Administrator, new title would be Deputy
Do
Sheriff.
not spend money on anyone else. We're rolling.
Get a motion for
They don't
that?
have money, you don't go anywhere.
I know Liam always has one of that.
Manager, I'll make a motion.
We have a second?
I guess I could.
We vote on that, filling this jail administrator position. All in favor? Yeah, no, we have discussion. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll be voting no on this because, after a lot of thought, a lot of presentation, good presentations from our sheriff, I think there are still opportunities for change here in terms of what a facility administrator could do. What kind of role or title change that could be made to get the work done.
I'm not gonna be supporting this resolution primarily because this has been a position that's been vacant for over a year. Now's the time, now's not the time to add this position on with fiscal issues. For that reason, I won't be supporting that position for JP7. But let's go on to JP6, which is, yep, go ahead.
Unfortunately, I talked to Sheriff briefly. I don't have all the information. So, I want to ask the sheriff if he'll be bringing this to the full edge. Or
I'm sure you will.
very well, because whenever I vote today, I may be changed if based on that information. So I just want everybody to know that, including the sheriff. I was out of town, here, barely here now. Hey, it's not, but I couldn't hear anything. I'd like to have further discussion. I just don't have a lot of information.
So your vote tonight is? Okay, yes. And any other discussion? Okay, so all in favor of the filling of the custody corrections facility administrator?
Aye.
Opposed? I didn't ask.
No, it doesn't vote, right?
I'm moving on to JP7. JP7 authorizing the sheriff to fill one vacant deputy sheriff position in the road patrol division. This is the position, this is a deputy that hired the road patrol, and they definitely will be assigned full-time to the sheriff's civil division. I support this. I think it's a big use of resources. Representing Fairhaven Sterling, the northern part of the county, we don't see police patrol as much as found folks in Auburn and around the donut town, so I fully support this resolution. I really support this. It's important in my district, it's important. So with that said,
Want to get a motion?
I add a motion.
Motion. Second for discussion?
Okay.
Okay. this does say filling of one vacant deputy sheriff position, but this really is the addition of one additional sheriff deputy that was put in the 2024 budget, because you took a backfill out, and then we ended up filling the new create and send them to the academy. I don't think it's the time to be adding staff that were in existence, or and it also includes the purchase of another vehicle. At this point, I'm going to support this resolution.
We can amend it. Not you.
You want to make an amendment for it? Okay, so Brian would like to amend the resolution and remove the purchase of the vehicle.
Where you do that?
So,
Well, there's just a second.
They need a second first.
Yeah, second.
Thank you.
This is a position that's gonna require the civil deputy to serve civil papers as well as, execute evictions throughout the county, so I'm not sure how to manage this. So I'm pretty clear about this position, but, task of doing it. Yeah.
can you have a second for the removal of the vehicle?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, you want to vote? The resolution is amended
On the event.
on the amendment. All in favor?
Actually, James, I'm sorry.
All in favor of it?
I think I do.
The amendment that you made,
Yes.
remove the vehicle.
Ben, what was your vote on that? Are you opposed to even?
Oh.
Okay. So.
I didn't hear you ask for it.
Okay, now.
That was-
We can put, now we need to vote on the original resolution. Okay, can we get a vote, or can you ask for the vote on the original resolution?
It's more of the original
Yes.
resolution.
Okay, all in favor,
I,
opposed?
Aye.
Can you do that again, please?
Okay,
Slow it down.
Yeah,
The-
me too.
yeah, it passes 3-2. Thank you.
GPA. Authorized the sheriff, county legislature, sheriff, Cayuga County internal agreement, Schuyler County and Schuyler County Sheriff's Office, permitting Cayuga County Sheriff's Office to respond to mutual aid requests made by Schuyler County. Can I get a motion to put this on the table?
How about that?
Like, yeah, second.
All right, so this year involves one weekend, basically September 13th to 15th, races on the 15th, for the NASCAR weekend. This is a fully reimbursed position. I know the resolution doesn't say that, it is fully reimbursed. And the sheriff has a contract.
It's not a position, right?
It's all it's not position, it's the
Right,
overtime,
yeah.
it's the neutral, right, they pay for the position, they do,
Yeah.
it's like, it doesn't cost the county, funds.
Okay.
You want to,
The discussion was that, does the committee feel the resolution needs to be amended to include at no cost to the county and for one weekend, or just let, now we know that detail, and we could just let them. Let the resolution go as is. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay,
Oh,
you're opposed? No, yes.
yeah,
Okay,
oh.
okay.
That was the amendment, right?
No, that was,
Can't hear nothing down here.
yes.
We can turn these two off,
It's all right.
right?
This was to leave the resolution as it is, without an amendment.
Then I'll support it.
And there's full support, he thought we amended.
Oh, okay, so it's all in favor.
Yeah.
All right.
Madam Chair, that's all I have.
We have one, the same, the legislative resolution will be coming forward is to extend the video conferencing in July 26th. And that would be on the at our meeting. All right, if there's nothing more, motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Make the motion to go into executive session for the discussion.
I'll second.
It's for the purchase, sale, or lease of real property.
We are unmuted.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Elaine, good luck.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, maybe water all day, I'm gonna start down.
Brian seconded.
I kinda did.
Thanks, Ronald.